Hey everybody, what's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, and I am bringing you your celestial wisdom for a very big week, April 10th through the 17th of 2022. And it is a big week because there's a huge conjunction or canoodling happening between Jupiter and Neptune. Now, this happens every 13 years, but it happens to be in the sign of Pisces. And the last time that these two met up in the sign of Pisces was 1856. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Let me just start by saying at the beginning of the week, we've got Mercury entering Taurus. And this is an opportunity for us to take all these quick-minded ideas and conversations and thoughts and the way maybe we were impulsive about some of the things we said, and we now can process them in a very slow and methodical way. We may find ourselves thinking very deeply about some of the things that were said or some of the conversations that we had, the ideas that we wanted to put into action, and we can start to put into a structure or a format in the way in which we organize our thoughts. And we can come up with maybe some step-by-step processes. We may communicate and connect with people in a way that helps them feel as though we're that reliable source of information, or we're going to be learning and seeking out reliable sources. And we could also learn about some things that or get more interested in learning about things that awaken our senses or have to stimulate our senses as well, with this being in the sign of Taurus. Some of you just specifically may decide you want to learn about cooking, or you want to bring people together and there's conversation over food. That's just one example. Building trust comes from words aligning with actions. We may have taken a lot of actions over the last couple of weeks with Mercury in Aries, and now we want to make sure that the actions are lining up with the words now. And it's, talk is cheap. Let's get doing here and see if everything that we were thinking about and building and wanting to manifest, if you will, because our words create worlds, do they really create the world I want to live in? And this is a greater emphasis, and stay with me because this video is probably going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, just because we're working with some pretty big information with Jupiter and Neptune. So I'm getting to that. That's on April 12th when it's exact. We've been feeling the buildup of this energy, but we're now going to experience the exactitude of the Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces canoodling. And this sets up a brand new cycle for us. But let me just revisit for 1 second. Jupiter is our planet that is associated with luck and optimism, vision, adventure, and expansion, also wisdom. And Neptune is our planet of dreams, of hopes, and desires. And it also has that higher wisdom. So Jupiter being the knowledge-based wisdom and Neptune being the spiritual-based wisdom. And these two are coming together in the spiritually compassionate, loving, psychic sign of Pisces. And like I mentioned, the last time it was in Pisces was 1856. Now, this is that universal collective order that took place. And we're looking at it from a world view, and we know what's happening in our world right now. The pandemic is finally coming into a manageable space, and Russia had invaded Ukraine, and now we may experience that peace can come in. And I mention this because think it back in time, 1919, Jupiter and Neptune canoodled in the sign of Leo, and women's rights were activated. And when Jupiter and Neptune made conjunctions after the world wars, peace came about. In 1945, Jupiter and Neptune canoodled in Libra, and the United Nations was formed. So what we're looking at is that collective world order that is coming into play. And it's set up so that the intention is for that feeling of peace, or that we can come together in a collective voice, and we can use wisdom. What is wisdom? It's knowledge and experience combined with good judgment. And so we will have the opportunity to hopefully see some peace being brought into the world, and even more of a collective emphasis around things that have to do with the watery kind of thing. I think of global warming, right? We may have a lot more emphasis around that. Also, the space program. We'll have a once in a lifetime chance to really give our dreams the opportunity to become a reality. And that is because this conjunction in Pisces will change the ways in which we set our intentions and the ways in which we manifest our hopes and our goals. Creative expression can also be at their best, and we can find ways to creatively evolve industries and skills in ourselves. This is an evolution of our lives. And we may become more interested in things that inspire us to greatness, and we can inspire others to be a better version of themselves, inspire them to be at their best. Future oriented. These are all these things that we're going to start really looking at and feeling almost as if the spirit is moving us in that direction. That, like I mentioned before, the space program will probably get even more activated. We already have Space Force, and you notice how our military has been redesigned, and there's actually a military push now for the Space Force. We may have a lot more interest in otherworldly things and become emphasized and focused on that. We may also, I'm going to put it out there, that we may discover that there's life outside of Mother Earth. Because we're dealing with the sign of Pisces and Jupiter and Neptune here, watch for the waterworks. This is on a collective global level. Pay attention to an increase of anything that has to do with water. Water bills could go up, flooding, hurricane season, for example, all those things could be expanded here. But we also want to watch out for the shadow side of Jupiter and Neptune, where illusions, delusions, escapism can take place, especially through addictions. And this could be further emphasized when emotions get really large. There's a big emphasis here on healing. I want to point out that especially because we have the nodes of the moon in Taurus and Scorpio, so they're making a sextile and trine here with Jupiter and Neptune. And so bigger emphasis on the compassionate side, the empathetic side, the healing of wounding, where abuse of power had taken place, or betrayals, or unhealthy attachments and codependencies. We also are going to be looking at rebuilding towards a future that has more sustainability and emphasizes the need for healthy relationships so that we can continue to work together to rebuild this future that we are wanting, that we're dreaming of, right? Healing addictions, obsessions, and suppressed emotions is also something that we're going to be working with. So in order to work with this healing, guess what? Remember, we can't heal what we don't feel. So when these emotions come up, they may feel larger than life, and it may send us into escape mode. And so the invitation is escape into things that are healthy for us, like yoga or meditation, or working with a professional that can give us another perspective, that can help to break through some of the illusion and work with what's really true. You know, I think about when my anxiety kicks in. My daughter is just absolutely wonderful, and she's in grad school to be a therapist. And we were talking about this, and I said, I know what triggers it. And then I noticed the stories that show up in my head. And she said, and who's telling you? What voice is telling you that? I was like, it's mine. I made it up, and then I get attached to it. And so this is all part of the healing process, is healing those unhealthy attachments. Am I attached to this story that created that anxiety, that I'm overthinking something? Yeah. So the other piece that we have for this week in the big movement is we have the personal planet of Mars, our defender of the realm, as I like to use Mars in the positive light. But also Mars, yes, is the planet of anger and action and passion, and god of war, right? Now, within the sign of Pisces, Mars can go to bat, go to war, to fight and defend for the underdog. So we may find places where we can use all that compassion and empathy, and that drives us to be of service and find ways that we can express that compassion and empathy with the underdog, with those who need rescuing. We may find ourselves also drawn and really driven to, if you're single, to people that we need to rescue. Be careful of that. But if it also can lead you to meeting somebody, if you're interested, that the relationship can be deeply healing for the two of you. If you're in a bonded relationship, Mars and Pisces can have you guys experiencing euphoric connection, especially if you're doing anything mystical together, or maybe you escape and do some role playing in the bedroom just to make it fun and fantasize a bit. This also gives you a chance to take on a project or something that allows the two of you to be of great service to humanity or to others that you care about. Action can come from psychic hits. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to the emotions. Just be careful because you may get carried away with them. But it also can give you an opportunity to be able to be in the right place at the right time with the right people. Utilize this energy too to take a step back and observe before taking action if you can. And then you strike when this unseen force, this spirit, if you will, moves you. And so I feel as though this is a beautiful week where so much compassion and empathy and intuitive connections and observations can take place, and it will continue. And we can use this time beginning this week, and it will continue. These are cycles. And so that we can continue to use the energy starting this week to offer greater love, greater wisdom, and greater compassion for ourselves, because that's important, and then for each other. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at jamiedawn.com. I look forward to being of great service to you. Have a great week, everyone.